That was Third Eye by Roy Ayers. Welcome, everyone, to the remix. I am your host, of course, Miss Blue. Joining us here live tonight in the forum is Brother Bobby Hemmitt. So we're going to get ready to bring him on and get right into the share.
La, 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 the remix. Hey, this is Baby Blue. And remember, if nothing else moves you, life will.
All right, let's see. Peace and greetings, Brother Bobby. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
can you hear me?
we can hear you loud and clear. Peace and blessings.
Okay, yeah. And I'm glad you brought we made that selection of Roy Ayers' Third Eye. I think that's coming from the Everybody Loves the Sunshine album, 1976. If any of you all have never heard of Roy Ayers, you need to go out and get all you can find on him. Now, Roy Ayers is a part of the wave of masters to come through in the metaphysical realm. Our metaphysics and our spirituality in the 70s and in the 80s, but mainly in the 70s, were people like Roy Ayers, Earth, Wind and Fire with Maurice White, Parliament Funkadelic, including Bootsy. It's ironic, I've played some Bootsy today, Stretching Out on a Rubber Band, which came out the same year as this, the Roy Ayers, Everybody Loves the Sunshine album, which features Third Eye. And was playing this Stretching Out of the Rubber Band, Bootsy, and the brother from Chicago, Andrew, called me and said, "Hey, man, I just met Bootsy today."
Wow.
And then he said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I'm gonna have to download the show because Bootsy gave us backstage passes at a club he's performing to show you that whole spiritual thing and all that. It's interesting here. So these were our spiritual inspirers in all. And Roy Ayers is one of the main ones. Of course, Bootsy, got in a motorcycle accident in the 80s, and the spirit told him if he got off drugs, they would heal him completely. And he did. And they healed him. Why? Because he was one of those people who was one of our teachers when we didn't actually have the type of knowledge. They taught based on inspiration, you see, based on inspiration, and that's how they taught. Now, Roy Ayers is a major one. He went to Africa in 1980. He has an album out, which is now on CD. You can get these things. It's called Africa Center of the World. He appeared with, he met with, what's your boy, Fela Kuti. He met with Fela in 1980. They got him on the inside of the jacket of the album cover. But like I said, that's on CD now, Africa Center of the World. Very conscious brother. He talks about the third eye throughout other parts of his music, but but very spiritual master, came back to the earth. You see what I'm saying? To impart this knowledge on us by inspiration. So we have these types of people that would do that and stuff, you see. Very conscious brother. And as you know, it is not by mistake that we're talking about this and we're celebrating the passing of Gil Scott-Heron.
Yes.
So when I say celebrating, I already know when a mission is over, hey, they partying.
That's
just going down to the party before, so we don't, you see, so Gil Scott-Heron was one. And had a lot of singers and stuff that was conscious. Remember Joe Tex? I ain't going to bump no more with the big fat woman. Big butt woman. Conscious brother. Member of the Nation of Islam.
Yes.
You see, I mean, and you'd be surprised all the conscious people. But all of them was inspired, especially Parliament Funkadelic. He said, asked George Clinton, we saw him back in the 90s, and asked him, where did you get this the mothership stuff from? He said, well, partly Elijah Muhammad, but mainly Sun Ra. And Sun Ra didn't believe he was from this planet and never existed like that. So we celebrate that, and that's the type of music. And, for people, but if you want to get into some real spiritual music, get you some Roy Ayers.
Oh, yeah.
And it's interesting here because we're talking about Bootsy Collins' first album. There's a song on there called Vanishing in Our Dreams. Vanishing in Our Dreams. And let me see if it's Vanishing in Our Dreams or Vanishing in Our Sleep. Let me get that right. It's on the first album, Bootsy Collins, Stretching Out in a Rubber Band, 1976. But I need to find out, was it the song called Vanishing in Our Dreams? And I'm going to tell you a little something. It's going to segue into what is actually happening with us.
Right.
So this Bootsy Collins album, and we're going to get into all that, and I want to say I should come out by saying hello, Blog Talk listeners. I start, when you get inspired, sometimes it's called Vanish in Our Sleep. Vanish in Our Sleep. And in there, which is very interesting. Now, this is, we played this today. There's a movie out called Vanishing on 7th Street. Now, this is very, very important today on what is going on with our lives. What is going on in our lives. The other thing is the article in, I think was either March or April's Ebony. Let me get I know it's the Ebony with
was it
the movie Jump in the Broom.
Okay.
The cast of the, it's that Ebony, and will somebody will call in and give us the
they
actual,
will. Title.
The actual whether it was August or April, whether it was March or April. But in there there's an article. About 300,000 black people disappeared. People of color, they say, disappeared last year. But yet when he goes into the article, he's only speaking about almost one girl that was missing. But they gave that report. And that's very key that you understand that, because when you download or rent Vanishing on 7th Street, with Vanishing on 7th Street, it's probably went straight to video. The DVD. So once you download that,
right,
or either go out and get it, it'll explain some things that's happening, and it's probably going to explain what happened to those 300,000 people. And in so many words, we got people to just vanish.
Yes.
Now, if it would have happened in the 90s, we could have said, well, the government killed them.
Right.
Because that's what they did in the 90s. They cleaned out all the projects and, got rid of people. But what we're talking about here is people disappearing. You can go to stores on Saturday and don't be nobody in them.
That's true.
There's a little shopping center in the black neighborhood. When I first got to Atlanta back in 1986, I was working on Martin Luther King's son's campaign for Fulton County Commissioner. Right. And we would go around, getting the voters and stuff at that particular time. We went by this little black shopping center, and it was nothing but just hundreds of people as the eye could see. And now I went by, that was on a Saturday. I went by about a month ago on a Saturday, and there was hardly nobody there. Now, and it's hardly nobody there. Basically, some of these people are vanishing. So we're talking about an ascension. I try to understand that, because when you see the movie, you're going to see this darkness taking people. And that's the melanin. That's the dark matter, if you want to put it on a cosmic level.
Right.
So you're going to see the darkness taking people. But they're going to be playing all early 1960s music of black women. You see what I'm saying? So that's like that Great Mother.
Right.
These groups like the Marvelettes and these different type of groups that they had, back in the day. You see, so you have to put two and two together on what they're saying, but there's a vanishing thing that's happening. Now, let me give you an example on what happened to me that takes this right to the personal level.
Okay.
Our last time I spoke was New Year's night on Blog Talk.
Yes.
And after that, we had the birds started dying, the blackbirds started dying, and all kinds of things. We're going to get into a series of things that happened between the last 6 months.
Okay.
Number one, so I did one lecture right after that on the 15th, Martin Luther King's birthday.
Okay.
Martin Luther King's birthday. And at that particular time, a great occultist by the name of Kenneth Grant, who was ostracized by the white community. He's a white guy, a British, but he was one of the people that did it two times in a row. First, it was Gerald Massey, 19th century scholar that died in 1907, that revealed that all this Egyptian and all this science and everything came from black people.
Right.
And the Egyptian was black and all that. Before that, it was a guy by the name of Godfrey Higgins. Did a book called Anacalypsis, and said he traced all these gods back, and they come back to being black. All the gods around the world. Now, so Gerald Massey did the same thing. When they started translating hieroglyphics and went into the British Museum, Gerald Massey, the goddess Sekhmet, appeared to him in a hotel room and told him, "You're going to go into the British Museum, and you are a black man, and do not flinch with what you see." Because a lot of people saw this stuff as black, all this stuff coming out of Egypt.
Right.
See, and they would hide the fact. So he went in, revealed what he saw, made it all black, and to this day, most white scholars don't put the greatest Egyptologist the world has ever seen. And all you got to do is look at his work and see this. They don't even put him in his books. So they got a way to, they have a way to ostracize you, persona non grata. You become a social pariah. They can do it in the academic world. Well, in the occult world, one of the guys who's instrumental in teaching me the mysteries of AWAS through his materials, he passed away on the 15th, Martin Luther King's birthday, and he was like in his 80s. But he was the second one that everybody ostracized and wouldn't put him in the occult books. You see what I'm saying and all? Because he said it was all black, and he was one of the greatest occultists to ever live. So as a result, he said it was all black also. So he made the transition, and then a couple of weeks ago, Sister Bert Hatshepsut made the transition.
Right.
And also made the transition. Sister Bert Hatshepsut, her name was Bert Lockett. Alberta Lockett was her name, and they called her Bert. And also her Egyptian name was Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut. And so she made the transition. But it's interesting here. She was instrumental, like I said, starting the careers. As far as all these people might have been out before. They had been doing stuff like Valentine in, but when she put Valentine, had him to open for Blair in 94, he never stopped looking. I mean, this flew, and so she introduced a lot of people at that time. She was the first to bring me to New York.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying and all, to New York and all. She was the one that was one of the first people to interview Brother Daoud and different people. So so she made the transition, and that was also a pioneer. So I'm going to New York. Now, this is the first time I have lectured since January the 15th.
Right.
And that was by choice.
Right.
And stuff. I just basically postponed the lectures. You see, postponed the lectures and stuff because there was something that was going on, and I needed to get the energy of it and all. So what had happened is I got my answer. Now, I went through all kind of spiritual things the last 6 months, but I really got my answer on where I actually was and where I actually am. I got my answer at the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta. Now, that's the Atlanta airport.
Yeah.
And they have this new system.